Michael W. Piper. How's it going, buddy?
Man, we're making it. Another Tennessee loss. So, it's been a tough weekend, but we're pushing through. It's going to be hopefully better things on the horizon. So we'll see what happens.
Welcome to Volhalla, right?
Welcome to Volhalla, fresh off another UT loss.
Frustrating, man. Another week of consistently inconsistent basketball-wise, and just pretty solid consistent in football. It's another in-state loss, it seems like, with Ty Simpson news. We're going to get to that here first. Didn't want to do first one, the wonderful Action 24/7, our fantastic sponsors, Tennessee-owned, Tennessee-based, Tennessee Gambling Company, man. They are the best sports book in this state. They have been fantastic to us. They've been fantastic. Some winners. I saw a guy yesterday hit a nice $18,000 parlay.
Wow.
Fat stacks.
Good little parlay there.
Yeah, that'd be a fun little life changer. It's like, but I think you put like $15 down.
Oh, wow.
18,000.
Same game parlay or multi-game?
Multi-game. It was like he had a couple of them that were like plus 200 to win. It was strong, man. He went out there, but awesome pickup. So that was a fun one to see yesterday. They posted that online. And I just wanted to shoot out, if you are a new user, head over to sign up, enter the promo code CTS100, and they'll match you up to $100, and that helps your boys out, helps promote the podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Along with, you want to also help us out, the big thing is like, subscribe, and share everything, because we got to have that. So big news on that front. And got to have these regulations, but hey, 21 and older, Tennessee only. And if you have a gambling problem, call Tennessee Redline, 1-800-889-9789 if you have a gambling problem. And of course, it's Tennessee only sportsbook right now. So shout out to Action 247. Fantastic people. So get into Vols. Ty Simpson, how hurt were you?
Man, I have to say I wasn't overly optimistic about it. Not to sound like the downer. I just felt like with Heupel coming in when he did, that close to the decision, it was like, I held out a little bit of hope because Heupel is a quarterback's guy, and it said I heard he was like calling him every day, trying to get him to come to UT. But it is what it is. Alabama's rolling. Their program's, historic. Nick Saban's one of the best coaches, if not the best coach to ever coach college football. Yeah. So sometimes you just got to take the L and look for the next best guy. I'm sure Heupel will find a guy that works for his offense. That's one thing I feel pretty confident in, is that the guy, he'll get a quarterback that's going to work and it's going to come in and play significant snaps or contribute to this team and look good doing it. So I'm not overly worried. I would have liked to have seen him commit, but we'll see. I think there's probably something else good down the road.
Me too. I think so. I think the system aspect is going to be just fine for him. Heupel's had too many guys come through his program that have changed for the much better. Not just the better. Guys just don't get slightly better. I feel like they really drastically improve under him and Halsey, and those guys are going to be awesome. Yeah. I was a little upset the fact that he did Bama, because the Tennessee, I think, his parents, didn't they go to UT and all that stuff? So there's the whole alumni aspect. It just felt a little slap in the face-ish to Vols fans. I know some people were pretty hurt. I honestly didn't think Ty would wind up coming to UT. It makes, obviously, for his career and his worth, go to Bama. Yeah, look what he did with Mac Jones. Like, people were like, he's going to be a low-end game manager coming into the season. Like, he's got some good throws, don't get me wrong, but nobody ever saw him turn into the first-round pick that he's going to be this year.
Right.
So it is one of those situations where the improvement that they have had with guys is just fantastic. Tua was a unbelievable talent, but they still made him better.
Right.
It's all those guys. So it's been pretty impressive to see their run. just kind of sucks for the fan base again to lose an in-state guy. And I know Heupel was put in a terrible spot. That's a tough one too, right? Just
Yeah.
try to have that spurt of what he only had 2 weeks, right? Is that all he had?
Yeah, pretty much. 2, maybe 3, but yeah, I mean, not a lot of time.
Yeah, because this whole Heupel era has just been like a blur, just going everywhere. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know where it's at. So I can't remember which weeks are which. So it's something crazy. How do you feel about the one argument I heard a lot about was missing out on Ty almost puts in a perspective of there's not going to be a lot of in-state guys that follow now. If they would have followed him, that may not come now to UT, because if Ty don't go, we ain't going, kind of thing. Why would we want to do that and go to this program if he doesn't want to go to that program? Kind of like a ringleader aspect. If a really good quarterback goes in that class, it's going to be tough on the other guys. Do you think that's true, or do you think that, with what we're going to get in the next year, it should be fine for UT?
I think it definitely hurts, and I think you'll maybe lose a guy or two, but I could also see, recruiting and there kind of being an in-state push, and he gets maybe a couple big guys on board.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of creates some momentum, and we see something similar to what we would have seen with Ty. I think with Ty, it probably would have happened sooner and happened easier because, I mean, it's one of those things, once you got the big fish in the boat, it's easier to get, everybody else on board too, because, they want to play with a guy like Ty, who by all accounts is not only a great player, but seems like a great person too. So I think the quarterback piece to me is a big piece, just because a lot of talent around him, whether it's running back, wide receiver, or even offensive line, they want to go and they want to play for a guy that they feel like is a proven commodity, to give them a better chance of having success during their time there. So a lot of times the classes that you see do the best are the ones that have a top tier quarterback in there early on, and then they're able to kind of pull some other people on board.
Yeah. I think that's a big issue with that, is because it keeps the program, I think, at perspective of it's about the same as it was when he got here. But if you hit that home run from like a media perspective, maybe not like a true home run. Don't get me wrong, I think Ty's going to be really talented. But right now, if he would have landed Ty this week, I think it changes for the good. I think it changes for the good. All good, baby. When you're as cool as Mike Pipe and you're getting calls all over the place.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah. When you're as cool as Mike Pipe,
People want to talk to me, apparently. I don't know. I wish I had time for them, but
yeah, hey, got a podcast to do. Ty's just one of those deals where it would have looked really good this early. Like, man, that'd have been nice to have as a big boost of confidence, if anything. If anything, it would have made that quarterback room even more talented. I do think there is some good, young, talented quarterbacks in Knoxville right now.
Yeah.
Even from transfers to freshmen to the Salter to Bailey. Wow, my memory is not great today. What is quarterback transfer from Virginia Tech?
Hendon.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know why I was losing it today. But having that talented room with these talented quarterbacks coaches all around, from head coach down to actual quarterback coach, really, I think this offense is going to be fine. Just a big worry on defense, and you'd like to bring some more guys in. So we'll see.
All right.
Yeah. So far, what do you think about the overall defensive staff, adding in Gene Mary and all that stuff?
Man, I really like the staff that he's put together. I think the only thing I wish is that they had a proven commodity at defensive coordinator. But beyond that, I like the pieces that he's added, and I think that they're going to complement each other well. I really, really like what he was able to do on the offensive side of the ball as far as continuity and getting guys that he's familiar with, that are familiar with his system. And then he went out on the defensive side of the ball, and I felt like just hired high-profile, big-name guys for the most part that are going to be good on the road recruiting.
Yeah.
So overall, I feel good about how he rounded out the staff, all things considered, with the pending NCAA violations and all else. I think that he did a good job of surrounding himself with the talent, particularly for recruiting. A lot of people were kind of worried, is he going to be able to recruit at an elite level to succeed at the University of Tennessee? But I think at the end of the day, like with what he was able to do with his staff, he's put himself in the best position to succeed that he possibly could.
Yeah. I think the aspect of getting Garner in there early on was a big key for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud of that hire. I think that Tim Banks, like you said, it's not like fully unproven. It's not like you're getting Washington, the linebackers coach from Ohio State. Like that's still like a, don't get me wrong, he's a big name. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to succeed for a long time, probably at multiple programs. He's somebody that would have been a full unproven commodity to pay a lot of money for, it sounded like. But with Banks, at least you have multiple years of I was talking with G on ESPN. Until Tim, I guess I just didn't realize. I'd probably, you kind of hear it throughout the years, but the co-defensive and co-offensive coordinators, I didn't realize how big it was. Like how many teams actually have these co-coordinators? Strange, man.
It is strange.
Yeah, but hey,
I don't really know that like the two horse system really works, because I just feel like anytime if you're in leadership and you have two bosses or two people, I don't know. Like I feel like at the end of the day, even if you've got the co-titles, you kind of need one guy that you answer to on defense.
Yeah.
That's calling the shots. Otherwise, if not, you really have to make sure your co-defensive coordinators, and really I'm speaking more from a leadership perspective, but you need to make sure that your leadership's on the same page, because if with two different entities, you can kind of play them off of each other and there can be division, and then the team can sense that division. And it's like, I don't really know that that's a good setup, but I mean, hey, we'll see. They might be able to make the most of it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. I'm glad that, with Tim, he's finally got, his own spot, big program.
Right.
Boy's getting paid too. Got a little escalation clause, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. So he ain't going to be hurting. He's going to be staying in a nice neighborhood in Knoxville. And your boy Mike Piper does some cabinetry around there. If you need some new ones, Tim, just throwing that out there.
I sold some to T. Martin's wife, so he had some in his home. I don't know, they're probably selling that home, but anyway, it was a good run.
Good run. Just a shout out, Tim. Just in case you do, if you get a fixer up. I think you got enough money where you don't have to get a fixer upper anymore. I think you're past those days, but just in case. But I was very pleased, because I think it's very important for a guy. Now he has played a big time program. Penn State is a massive football program. Massive. Right. It's just different than the SEC, So it's nice that he's got some guys that have been around the block. Especially getting Willie back. There's just a lot of good coaches and guys that are really good at their role. And I don't know if Gardner ever really wants to. I've not seen aspirations to take over the DC spots. There really shouldn't be any sort of headbutt bashing kind of stuff. Really seems like they've got great, those good role players in basketball, That's what you need. It's what you need on good teams, is really good role players. And I think that's what Tennessee has done over these last couple of weeks. And I'm pretty fired up about it. Not this next year is going to be tough.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Not going to be great.
Not going to be great.
Yeah. What did Gene Mary, linebackers coach, thoughts on that guy?
Honestly, I haven't heard a lot. I've read that he was a really good recruiter. And I read that a lot of people in Michigan were, one of those things that they're sad to see him go. It felt like it was be a big loss for their program. But I really don't know a lot about the hire. I've had, I don't know, high expectations for him based on the things that I've read, and seems like it's going to be a good hire, but I really don't know that much about him. You have any thoughts on the hire?
It seems like he's done some pretty good development. I'm with you. I've read the recruiting aspect's great.
Right.
And I was listening to who was that the other day? oh man, I can't remember who came on. It was on a radio show, and talking about probably our biggest disappointment, Tennessee's biggest disappointment, maybe over the last year or two, maybe is the linebacking, linebackers core.
Yeah,
They just never got better, and last year looked way worse.
yeah,
Toto didn't have a good year, and that comes from a product of things. I think, him losing so much weight, and
right,
then also him always having to line up Crouch and other guys. It just kind of gets and Banks. It's just kind of frustrating whenever you're doing other people's assignments. You're worried about, do I have any help? Can I funnel them in? And
right.
like when you feel that need and you feel safe because your other guys are there, you don't have to worry about as much. So I don't know. Do you have the same thoughts? Do you think the linebackers got
For
stagnant or?
For sure. I mean, I think that was one of the things I was expecting to be the strength of the defense. And
Yeah.
everybody makes the jokes like Tennessee can't cover a slant. And that, to me, that was the truth. I mean, it was brutal. We got lit up right in the middle of the field all year long. And I think a lot of that falls on the linebackers coach. But
I
uh,
got you. I
you
got
got,
you.
you got me good. You got me good. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was definitely frustrating. I don't feel like Henry T progressed in the way that most people thought he would into like that all SEC level player his second year. I think he
Yep.
still had like a good season, but just not like he was first team all SEC or freshman all
Yeah.
SEC his first year. Might have even been like a freshman All American. I'm not sure,
I
but
think I think he was in that running at least. I don't know
yeah.
if he ever got that,
I
but
don't know if he did either, but he had a great season his freshman year, and a lot of people, obviously had high expectations and hopes for him.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, it remains to be seen, I guess, what this new coach is able to do with his core.
Yeah. Speaking of Henry, do you think he winds up going to Alabama or
Um,
going elsewhere? He's still in Cali, still doing online classes.
yeah, it seems to me like that's the route that it's headed. I've heard a lot of rumors, seen some smoke that he's going to be headed to Alabama. So you hope not, just because that would be kind of like a backstab, but for a guy that's on basically a contract year type situation, and
Mhm.
you go to Alabama and I don't know, maybe be the star of the defense and get coached by one of
Yep.
the greatest coaches, like it still hurts. Don't get me wrong, and I hate to see it because obviously I hate Alabama, but it's just hard to judge a kid trying to make a business decision, a decision that's could be the difference between millions and millions of dollars, and him not make the decision that's best for him. And if he feels like that's to go to Alabama, it's hard to argue with that, honestly, just with their record for putting guys in the league. And I know you can say, oh, if you're great, they'll find you wherever you're at. And that's definitely part of it. But again, I mean, look at how many people that Alabama's put in the league year in, year out. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He'd wind up being that guy, wouldn't he?
Yeah. And so it's like that coupled with the fact that, I don't know, Trey Smith had a kind of a disappointing year this year. And I think maybe, he might go second or third round. I'm not really sure. But
Yep.
I mean, that guy was by some services the number one player in the nation. So I think a lot of people, and granted, he had health issues. I'm sure that kind of set him back in his time here at UT. And honestly, I mean, that guy, legend for coming to the University of Tennessee,
Legend. Yeah.
giving his all, like playing through the blood clots. But it's hard to say that, maybe things would have been different if he was Alabama. Maybe he's looking at a first round draft pick because I don't know. It seems like whoever their star lineman is always seems like he ends up being a top, 30 pick at least, maybe top 15, top 20. So
Yeah, it's just that exposure factor.
yep, yep. And I think some of it's maybe lazy scouting, lazy recruiting, or scouting, just because it's like, oh, this guy's the stud at Alabama. He's our stud, And
Yeah.
you don't want to take a chance on the guy that went 3-7. The offense struggled, all that, in the first round, in my opinion. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Trey Smith will just show out at the combine, break the records, and obviously he's a super impressive young man who's a great ambassador for the program. I just think it's hard to compete with Alabama when you're recruiting, whether it's transfers or whether it's high school guys.
Yeah, I do think Trey wound up making a name for himself and almost doing some more like self-promotion because and not even meaning to. I'm not saying that's what he was doing. That's the reason why he was doing it. I just think with the activism stuff and just what he's done throughout the community, even before the Black Lives Matter stuff and all that other events that went on this year, even before that, he's done a lot for the community. He's done a lot with kids. He's just a good dude. He's going to be somebody that's going to make a huge impact on a community whenever he lands, wherever he is. I mean, he's just that type of person. And I mean, when you go through that kind of medical evaluation, which he did, and you're really worried about your career, and then you come back and play, and he still might be a first rounder. I actually don't know. I think he's still in the first round for most people right now. So it should be a thing where he'll be all right. He's going to be great. And to battle through all that, and his story is his self-promotion right now. And I think that's going to wind up making a big stint for him in the NFL, because that guy is going to be on and off the field a freaking Pro Bowler. Like, he is stud. Yeah. He's going to be the guy
for sure.
Yeah. Every Walter Payton Man of the Year award talk, he'll probably be right around those corners. He'll be looking at one of those sometime in his football career. So he's been a great ambassador. He and Eric Berry are two guys that in the last 15 years, you can't ask for two better dudes. So pretty pumped about that. Final thoughts on football. Anything else this week that really rocked your world?
Man, I'm just thinking how nice it would be to be at Parkway Pourhouse right now watching.
That's very true. That's very true. I've missed it, man. And that's one of our wonderful sponsors, Parkway Pourhouse, right here in Chattanooga. It's kind of like that big, easy, and convenient comfort of the Scenic City. It's nice, man. Those boys, I have recently completed my rounds of all the great wing spots of Chattanooga. And I'm going to come out with the power rankings, but I'm going to tell you one thing. Parkway's still number one. I've had some great visits. I've finally got to go to 1885 yesterday. Fantastic wings. They still are not Parkway's. So come hang out on the patio. If it's cold, they got some wonderful covers. A little heater out there. All the TVs out on the patio. Great spot. And when it's back to warming up, everything's wide open. Some good outdoor eating right there near the water. Got the brewery next to you. It's just a good day to have. So come on down to Parkway Pourhouse or head over to parkwaypourhouse.com to plan your visit. That's our peeps. Can't wait for some watch parties. We'll do a little bit of Preds, a little bit of Braves. Maybe some Vols. May not be too long. May only be a few games left after what we have seen from this team.
You never know. We can get hot just as quick as we can get cold.
Game to game, baby. First off, Vandy.
Oof. Oh,
I mean, how frustrating of a 12-point win can you have?
Man, I don't know. I will say this. That was extremely frustrating. So I don't know what that scales at, but how frustrating of a 12-point win can you really have? I would say I've never felt so nervous during a 12-point win. I would say that.
Very true. Yeah.
Because when they cut it to, was it like 4 at one point or 3? You're just like, you just felt the game slipping away. This Tennessee team, man, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I mean, it's terrible. One day, even between halves, between quarters, if you could divide the game into 4 pieces, you get one team different for the first half than you do the second half, for the first part of the second half than you do the second part of the first half. So it's like, anyway, it's madness. This Tennessee team is so freaking inconsistent. The talent is there. I'm not going to lie. I said on a podcast about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, don't really think Rick Barnes is that good of an X's and O's coach. And I think he's an excellent recruiter. I think he's an excellent developer of talent as far as just pushing guys, making them work hard, getting them in excellent shape, getting them ready for the season. But when it comes down to coaching, I do not believe that he puts our guys in the best system to win. The fact that he gets schooled by Bruce Pearl every single time he plays him should be evidence of that, because Bruce Pearl, in my opinion, great X's and O's guy. So, and it seems like Bruce has got his number. So I don't know what needs to change. One of the things that I saw highlighted about this Tennessee team is that they take a lot of bad shots. They take a lot of deep,
horrendous shots. Yeah.
Foot shots that from an analytical standpoint, are not good shots. And people are, analytics, whatever. But at the end of the day, if you think about it, your 15, 16, 17-foot shots they're worth the same as a layup. So it's like, really, you should be, and the teams that succeed and have the greatest success have really high shot rates of three-pointers and layups, like shots within 5 feet of the basket. And Tennessee's is like, I think maybe 380th in the in Division I basketball. So it's like Gonzaga, like all these teams that are like elite right now have like 20% higher percentage at the time that they shoot from either three-pointer or a layup versus Tennessee. Like we're shooting like maybe 60% of our shots from either three-pointer or layups, where these elite teams are doing it almost 80% of the time. So for me, I think it's an offense thing. I think it's the type of shots we're taking. And I think that kind of lends itself to less efficiency with scoring, because if you're taking harder shots and less efficient shots, I think that's why you see this team have these great big slumps where they can't seem to score. It's because they're not taking open threes and they're not getting to the basket.
Yeah, 1,000%. And it all kind of comes to a correlation too with the fact that whenever you're getting to the hole and you're either a lot of those shots for the really good teams, the Baylors, especially the Gonzagas, a lot of their shots are wide open threes. Like everything looks tough for Tennessee.
Yep.
I know I've made this point multiple times, but everything has looked tough to go get a bucket. There's no wide open layups. I feel like every once in a while you'll get a little dump off to Pons or to Fulke for a little half floater, but everything's a Springer getting to the lane, having to pump fake. Pons fades away on every shot he takes in the middle of the paint. I'd love for him to, instead of the lefty fadeaway, because he does a good job he's doing a little better job of attacking the hole, get in the middle of the paint, and then he jump stops, and then he fades left. It's like, man, just go into the guy, use your shoulder, half jump hook, because that at least gives you some momentum to go get an offensive rebound if you have an opportunity, because that's one thing he would win on.
And a guy's as athletic as he is, he has no business not just going over people.
Exactly.
Like, or through them, whatever. But like, there's no reason a guy like that should be falling away from the basket, in my opinion.
Every single time. And I know like that's something he's found as his shot. And that's good. That's a good post move for him. Whenever you just find it on the block and he slowly works. But whenever you've got that kind of full range and that full momentum, you should always jump stop and go straight up or go a little bit forward. He doesn't do that. And that's frustrating. The most frustrating is John Fulkerson. Is the guy injured? Is he sick? What's happened, buddy? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know, man. But at this point, I'm just kind of like packed it in with John. He's just totally disappointed this season. I mean, I had high expectations for him coming in. I was thinking, I thought that he might be a first-team All-SEC guy, honestly, with the way that the back of the half of the schedule, back half of last season. I was thinking, all right, this guy's ready to go. I mean, very least, I'm thinking second-team All-SEC. So,
nice.
Yeah, it would have been nice. I think if we had that, this team would be looking pretty good, but here we are.
Yeah. If John plays to, like, I'm trying to think of like a percentage comparison. Like, I know with all the talent you got with Keon and Springer, and if you kind of had an adjusted life workings, and if Keon and Jaden were the type where they've taken the reins of the offense, it's still similar to this, but you have 85 to 80% of what Fulkerson was last year. You're looking at a third teamer, all SEC.
Right.
Man, what Rick Barnes would kill to have that right now.
Yeah. I don't understand. I don't know if maybe he's depressed or I don't know, but to me, it just looks like a night and day different person and different player from last year. I don't know. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me, really. It really doesn't.
How much you putting on Rick for this? Because I think it's a big part of they're not gelling as a team.
No.
I'll give you the old school grading scale of 1 to 5, 5 being all Rick.
Man, a 3.5, I would say. Like, I don't know. You can't put it all on him, but It's definitely, to me, is majority Rick Barnes' fault. It's like at the
Yeah.
end of the day, if you're the leader of an organization and it's not working how it should, it's on you.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's ultimately his job. And you can say, it's the player's job to go out and play. It's this, it's that, it's this. But if you're the leader of any organization and your people aren't performing to the way that they should be, it's not usually it's one thing if it's like isolated, if you're not getting the best out of one of your team members. But when you have the whole team not playing up to its potential, there's only really one person you can look back at. And I'm not one of those people that's calling for Rick Barnes' head yet or
Heck
anything
no.
like that. But I'm just saying there is some concern. And I'm not saying like, hey, let's change it, let's pull the trigger. But I think it's probably time to at least consider, all right, maybe Rick Barnes isn't who we thought he was. Let's watch how these next couple seasons pan out, or at least next year pans out. And you're going to have a lot of talent on that roster again. And so I think if you see something similar and we're not able to compete at the level that we should be competing at with the pieces that we have, then I think, all right, we know there's a common denominator there at that point, in my opinion.
Yeah. I just think he's handled the talent really poorly
Yeah.
because with previous teams, you can tell me Grant, Admiral, all those guys were talented. Yes, they were. None of them were 5 stars. None of
Right.
them none of them had the ego. It was come in and work. We were the underdog, and all even when they were great, they were still the underdog because they were
Right.
smaller. They weren't super fast or something like that. They always had a some sort of chip on the shoulder aspect to them. Where this team now is starting to get that, but it's for like all the wrong reasons. It's like you guys didn't live up to your potential chip is different than you never had potential chip. Um, I'm just worried that Rick does a really poor job of handling talent.
Yeah.
And you gotta have something that works for Folky. You gotta figure out a way to get him involved more. And I know he's tried, and it is a lot on Fulkerson too, just not making the same shots he was. He's gotten really soft with the ball. The guy just cannot hang on to the ball. Everything gets stripped out of his hands, or he's just looks clumsy. And I know he's always looked a little baby deerish, but then he comes up with plays and like gets trash buckets all the time, and he's just not even getting those anymore. So the hustle's gone, and all aspects of John Fulkerson that you loved have just kind of dissipated. And that just it's so frustrating, man, because if you have him along with guys that are stepping up again, Josiah James has a really bad night last night. And it's like, man, we can't even get leadership from our good guys that are supposed to be the vocal leaders. And Victor Bailey goes back to not very good Victor Bailey. Great streak of averaging like 20 points a game over the last 4, and then
Right.
only has 8 last night and didn't take that many shots. The alpha aspect of him faded away again.
Right.
So I don't know. And it's just hard to find a true alpha, and it shouldn't be on your freshmen that just aren't quite there. Don't get me wrong. I think Keon and Jaden are fantastic, but this Tennessee team has too much leadership on the older side that should be. Where with other teams, when you're sole focus, like we'll take Oklahoma State. Cunningham is their alpha because he's the number 1 pick in the draft, and there's not much else there besides him. Where Tennessee, there's just talented up to the 7, 8 spot on their roster.
Right.
And he's, we're just having too many people that don't know how to be an alpha dog, and it really starting to show, man.
Yep.
I wanted to get your thoughts real quick. I know we've hounded on the fan base for a few. How bad has it become whenever the basketball part of this fan base now is calling for Rick Barnes' job? And I saw that a lot. I wouldn't say this unless I saw a large majority of people say that. What do you think, Mikey P?
Man, I mean, I understand where it's coming from. I'm frustrated too, and I feel like he definitely has underachieved. But to this point, it's one of those things that like I don't even really love that we fired Jeremy Pruitt on a COVID year, and obviously everything came out that came out, and I feel like that was like a self-inflicted gunshot wound, But
1,000%. That was Plaxico Burress.
yeah, Yeah, just holding it in the waistband of your sweatpants, going up. Yeah, that kind of deal. And
Really
then
fun. I can't even imagine Jeremy Pruitt like in like a pair of sweatpants. I don't know.
I
Just thought it was funny.
But all that to say, it's like, okay, this season, despite its ups and downs, we've still got a pretty good record. We're still pretty strong in the SEC. We're still going to make the tournament. Like,
Yep.
by all accounts, it's still a pretty good year, and a year that most Tennessee fans would have been happy with whenever Rick Barnes first got here.
Yeah.
So the expectations have shifted, and that's a little bit to be expected. But the man's still done a lot of great things for the program, and I don't think you can write him off after essentially one average we'll say below expectation season. Because last year, I feel like about matched expectations. We didn't really know what to expect coming into the season. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's like disappointing for sure, but it's too soon to pull the trigger. Even if I had a crystal ball, I think that he'll probably be fired in the next, I would say, 18 months. So, I mean,
Wow.
hot take, I think maybe not, depending on how the season goes, but I do think that if next season has the same result, which in my opinion, I'm not sure that he's there as a coach, then I think that you might see the fan base move on after another year of mediocrity. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. I kind of hope I'm wrong because I think he's a good ambassador for the program. But at the same time, if you're getting all these 5-star McDonald's All-American guys and you're not really able to compete at that level, then it's like maybe it's time to go find us a Nate Oates, So,
Yeah. And you got a heck of an AD that's going to do it, man.
right.
18 months.
Yeah, it's strong. After I said that, I was like, but I mean,
What's great, I can see it though. I'm with you.
Yeah.
From this fan base, but maybe it's different. I don't know.
Yeah. I think with part because you have Danny White at the helm, and then the other piece of it is like, okay, you've underachieved. And then if you have another season like this next year, which I think by all accounts you will, because I think if anything, the talent is probably less. So I don't know. I just think it's kind of what happened at Texas, like they just got tired of him, even though he was still a successful coach. And I think missed the NCAA once or maybe twice in his entire time there. I think they just got tired of him underachieving with elite talent. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's frustrating, but I can't remember a Rick Barnes team that's ever made it deep, even with like guys like Kevin Durant. DJ, they still didn't make it far. So it's like if you can't get Final Four with the guy like Kevin Durant on your team.
Yeah, Kevin Durant. I mean, because it was only 1 year, I don't think people realize how good Kevin was in college.
It was unbelievable, man.
There's not many people like when they get the ball, it's like they're going to go get a bucket anytime.
Yeah.
Kevin to me is the greatest scorer. The most unstoppable. I want to phrase this correctly. He is the most unstoppable scorer to ever play the game of basketball, and because that man is a legit 7-footer and has some of the best handles. He's a freak athlete. You can give me that skinny crap all you want to. Go watch that guy shoot a jumper. He's a 40-something percent 3-point shooter for his entire career.
It's pure.
Lights out. And one of the best mid-range jumpers you'll ever watch in your life. Like, you want to give me Jordan all you want to, but like Kevin Durant is a 7-foot version of that on the offensive end.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And you know what? He's been that guy since he was in college. And so like you just said, you're not even taking, I think it was him and TJ Ford.
Yeah.
So like that was a good team.
Yeah. I mean, I know Augustine was on that team, and they had
that's who they had on that team. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, that was a legit team, and I think he was averaging was it 30 a game? That sounds crazy.
Close. It's really close.
But I think it was about 30 a game, like maybe close to a double-double. So it's just like, the dude was a freak. And then, of course, you had Blake Griffin had a huge year. I think the next year. So you had, but maybe it was 2 years down the line. But.
Yeah, it was. I think it was the next year because, the next year would have been, 2009 is when Blake and them had the really good year.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Carolina won the championship, and that's who they played. That was that Oklahoma team was good with the Griffin brothers. Yeah. But yeah, man, they've never really performed. And go look at some of these guys that have come through Rick Barnes' program. Tristan Thompson is still playing today.
Right.
Kevin Durant's one of the going to be a top 5 of all time kind of guy. I mean, well, he'll be in the conversation. He's definitely going to be a top 12, but he's one of those guys by the end of his career, if he gets a couple championships in Brooklyn, he'll be in that convo because he's also going to be one of the greatest scorers of all time, numbers wise and just eye test. TJ Ford was an awesome college player. I think TJ, that's what I was thinking of. TJ Ford was the one that told Durant, like, hey, this Rick Barnes guy, he can coach. Augustine still playing. I watched him play today. He's getting starting minutes for the Bucks right now.
Yep.
So, hey, great recruiter.
LaMarcus Aldridge was there with TJ Ford, I believe, as well.
That's right. LaMarcus Aldridge. That dude's, man, he's somebody that's got paid.
Yeah.
You don't get paid by the Spurs, but he does it. So it's just a lot of talent recruited, but he's been an awesome developer. No matter what he's done so far as tournament runs, he can say one thing. He has made a lot of guys a lot of money just from pure development.
Right.
But you do get a do-over year with Fulkerson, I think. I think with this year being allowed to do whatever you want to, you can go, you can count it, you can not count it. I think Fulkerson's going to get a redo year, so it's going to be a blessing in disguise for him and a couple other of these guys, maybe even Pons. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
But, man, it's inconsistently consistent or consistently inconsistent?
I think it's consistently inconsistent, not inconsistently. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe in some terms, maybe with some teams they could get the other, but
we're definitely consistently inconsistent. Yeah. All right, man. Well, broski, I appreciate it. Glad to have you back.
Good to be back.
My man Mike Pipe, he's to all you homeowners out there, all you fixer-uppers.
Starting to DIY.
Mike Piper is getting after it, guys. So shout out to him. Shout out to Action 247. Shout out to Parkway Pourhouse. And welcome to Volhalla, peeps. Boom.